6. It is a 20-question module quiz. There's no time limit, and I just need to get an 80% passing score. Well, let's hop right into it. Question 1. You are an IT specialist tasked with removing malware from a workstation. After identifying the infection and before running malware removal tools, you decide to disable system restore. Why is system necessary? To ensure the system can be restored to a previous state if the malware removal process fails. To allow the malware removal tools to access and delete critical system files stored in the system restore folder. To prevent the malware from using system restore to reinfect the system after removal. To remove system performance during the malware removal process by freeing up disk space. It is going to have to be C. To prevent the malware from using system restore to reinfect the system after removal. Question 2. A threat actor gains access to a system using a password obtained through a dictionary attack. What most likely contributed to the success of the attack? The password was frequently changed. The password was not sufficiently unique or complex. The system used multi-factor authentication. The system stored passwords using reversible encryption. Well, if the password was obtained through a dictionary attack, it would have to mean the password is not sufficiently unique or complex. So, I'm going to go with B. Question 3. A security analyst baselines web activity and notices several caveats with browsers. For example, they notice that when a user types in a query is actually made after every typed key. The analyst is trying to group browsers' activity together. Which browser is based on the same code as Chrome? Internet Explorer, Safari, Firefox, or Edge? I am probably gonna go with Microsoft Edge. Firefox might be based on Chrome too. Safari. I don't think Apple uses Chrome as their base. Internet Explorer. Is this not basically the same thing as Microsoft Edge? You know, I'm just gonna wing it, and I'm gonna go with Firefox. Nah, actually, I'm gonna go with Edge. It's probably gonna come back and bite me. Which of the following best describes the purpose of endpoint monitoring solutions? To monitor and manage the performance of network hardware such as routers and switches. To provide backup and recovery solutions for lost or corrupted files. To detect, analyze, and respond to security threats on individual devices within a network. To optimize the speed and efficiency of web browsers and workstations. I'm gonna have to go with C. To detect, analyze, and respond to security threats on individual devices within a network. An IT administrator notices that multiple computers on the company network are experiencing performance issues, such as high CPU usage and slow network speeds. Upon further investigation, the administrator finds that the systems are running unauthorized processes that were not installed by any user. Additionally, no suspicious files are found on the disk, but the issue continues to spread to other systems on the network. What type of malware is most likely responsible for the situation. I'm gonna have to go with the worm. Option D. It could have been adware, boot sector virus, Trojan, or a worm. A worm loves to crawl through networks and attack vulnerable machines. A security administrator wants to set up anomalistic monitoring around the behavioral-based user activity. Which of the following could the administrator implement for monitoring? Select 3. So, the administrator wants to set up anomalistic monitoring. So, how many people are currently logged in? How many times the user logs in? And how many failed attempts have happened? Screen lock, I really would not consider that anomalistic. You are configuring a web browser for use in a corporate environment where internet traffic must be routed through a proxy server for security and monitoring purposes. The IT department has provided you with the proxy server address and port number. Which of the following steps should you take to ensure the browser is correctly configured to use the proxy server? Use the browser's default settings, as most browsers automatically detect and configure proxy servers without manual input. Install a browser extension that automatically configures proxy settings based on location. Enable private browsing mode to ensure all traffic is routed through the proxy server. Navigate to the browser settings menu, locate the proxy settings section, and manually enter the proxy server address and port number. It cannot be A, B, or C. User would have to do this manually. There probably is an extension that does this, but how would I know the information that the IT department has provided you? What is the primary purpose of a clean desk policy? To ensure confidential data are not exposed. To minimize the risk of hardware theft. To reduce fiscal clutter that can impact productivity. To encourage organization and tidiness in the workplace. Well, considering we're doing a CompTIA quiz, I would not say it has to encourage organization and tidiness. I don't think this kind of goes with option D. To minimize the risk of hardware theft, I don't really think this would have to do anything with a clean desk policy. I would say in terms of a corporate setting, it's to ensure confidential data are not exposed. Question 9. You need to use a common USB flash drive to transport important sensitive information for your organization. Which of the following would be the best program for protecting the data on the flash drive with encryption? Since we're going with a USB flash drive, and more than likely we're dealing with a Windows system, we would want to be using a BitLocker to go. It could have been EFS, BitLocker to go, BitLocker, or Microsoft Defender. Question 10. What is the primary purpose of a system user password? It provides a pre-boot network authentication to a server. It allows the computer to proceed with the boot process. It protects access to the firmware system setup program. It prevents unauthorized use of the operating system after booting. Pre-boot network authentication. It allows the computer to proceed with the boot process. It protects access to the firmware system setup program. I am gonna have to go with option D. What is the primary purpose of a system user password? It prevents unauthorized use of the operating system after booting. Yeah. Question 11. You are tasked with analyzing a security issue reported by a colleague who encountered your connection is not private warning while accessing a company website. Upon investigation, you find the following details. The SSL/DLS certificate is issued by an unknown certificate authority, CA. The certificate's expiration date is in the past. The website URL matches the certificate's domain name. What is the most likely cause of the warning, and what should you recommend to resolve the issue? The certificate is self-signed and untrusted. Recommend obtaining a certificate from a trusted CA. The browser is outdated. Recommend updating the browser to recognize the certificate. The certificate is issued to a different domain. Recommend updating the website's URL to match the certificate. The certificate has expired. Recommend renewing the certificate with the issuing CA. It's telling us that the certificate's expiration date is in the past, so I would say the certificate has expired. You are an IT administrator for a mid-sized company. Recently, several employees have reported that their computers are running unusually slow, even when performing basic tasks. Upon investigation, you notice that the CPU and GPU usage on these systems are constantly maxed out, even when no resource-intensive applications are running. Additionally, the systems are connected to the internet and exhibit unusual outbound traffic patterns. What is the best course of action to address this issue? Disconnect the affected systems from the network and investigate for signs of cryptojacking malware. Reboot the affected systems to clear any temporary issues and monitor the performance. Upgrade the hardware on the affected systems to handle the increased workload. Run a full antivirus scan on the infected systems and remove any detected threats. Well, if the CPU and GPU usage on the system are constantly maxed out, I would have to say to disconnect the affected systems from the network and investigate for signs of cryptojacking malware. Question 13. Why is it essential to physically secure portable devices when in public spaces? To comply with organizational policies, to ensure they are not stolen or lost, to prevent unauthorized access, to prevent damage in credit spaces. I would have to say to prevent unauthorized access. Why is it essential to physically secure portable devices when in public spaces? Yeah, I'm gonna go with C, to prevent unauthorized access. Question 14. A user receives a prompt while attempting to install software in a Linux system, indicating that the software is untrusted. What is the best course of action? Proceed with the installation, as the software was likely designed for Windows. Cancel the installation and investigate the software. Submit a support ticket to request the removal of the restriction. Disable the verification feature to enable installation. I am going to go with B. Cancel the installation and investigate the software. A company wants to restrict network traffic from a specific client IP address to enhance security. What is the most effective way to implement this restriction using Windows Defender Firewall? Configure a rule to block traffic in all ports from the IP address. Add an exception for the client IP address in the outbound rules. Set the default inbound policy to block for all profiles. Use the block all connections to ensure no traffic is allowed from any address. A company wants to restrict network a specific client IP address. I'm going to go with A. Configure a rule to block traffic on all ports from the IP address. I mean, it does say restrict, doesn't say block traffic. It might be B. Add an exception for the client IP address in the outbound URLs. This is a tough one. I'm going to go with A. Configure a rule to block traffic on all ports from the IP address. Question 16. A user stores sensitive data on a USB flash drive. Which of the following can they use to encrypt the data on this drive? Administrative share. Run as administrator. Single sign-on. Or BitLocker to go. This is just another a reworded question from one of the previous questions that we went over. So it's gonna have to be BitLocker to go. Question 17. An administrator notices performance issues on a workstation running virtual machine software. What is the most appropriate action to address the issue while maintaining security? Replace the antivirus product with a less resource-intensive solution. Turn off real-time protection. Exclude folders containing virtual machine files from antivirus scanning. Disable the antivirus product permanently. Sorry for the pauses, you guys. I'm preemptively reading the questions. I'm gonna go with option C. Exclude folders containing virtual machine files from antivirus scanning. But it does say the appropriate action to address the issue while maintaining security. And, I mean, there's pros and cons to this. A workstation in your organization has been infected with a rootkit that has compromised critical system files and programming interfaces. Despite multiple attempts to remove the malware using antivirus and anti-malware tools, the infection persisted and the system continued to exhibit abnormal behavior. Which of the following is the most appropriate next step to resolve the issue? Reinstall the operating system and restore data from a clean backup. Disconnect the workstation from the network and monitor it for further symptoms. Run a full antivirus scan in safe mode and attempt a rootkit removal. Manually delete the compromised system files and replace them with clean versions. I am going to go with A. Reinstall the operating system and restore data from a clean backup. Question 19. You are an IT administrator responsible for maintaining the security of your organization's computers. During a routine check, you discover that several employees are using outdated versions of their web browsers. What is the best course of action to ensure the security of these systems? Disable all browser extensions and plugins to to compensate for the outdated browsers. Schedule automatic browser updates to ensure all systems receive the latest security patches. Advise employees to switch to a different browser without addressing the outdated versions. Instruct employees to manually update their browsers only if they encounter issues while browsing. That's not really going to do anything. I am going to go with B. As an IT administrator, I would schedule automatic browser updates to ensure all systems receive the latest security patches. Question 20. Which of the following is an issue with using an ad blocker extension on your web browser? It can prevent the web browser from retaining password information. It can prevent you from synchronizing bookmarks from one computer to the next. It can cause certain sites and browsers to no longer work on specific web pages. It can be a security risk to your stored password information. No. An ad blocker is not going to stop you from doing this. It can prevent the web browser from retaining password information. No, not really. I'm going to go with option C. It can cause certain sites and browsers to no longer work on specific web pages. It would probably be smart to review it, but oh well. Well, I got a 90. And the two questions I got wrong were question 11. You are tasked with analyzing a security issue reported by a colleague who encountered your connection is not private warning while accessing a company website. Upon investigation, you find the following details. The SSL/TLS certificate is issued by an unknown certificate authority. The certificate's expiration date is in the past. Wait. Oh, I'm reading the wrong one. Question 10. What is the primary purpose of a system user password? It allows the computer to proceed with the boot process. It prevents unauthorized use of the operating system after booting. The explanation. A system user password allows the computer to proceed with the boot process and is required to allow the system to continue loading the operating system. It differs from a system or supervisor password, which protects access to the firmware setup program. While pre-boot authentication and preventing unauthorized operating system use are related security features, they are not the primary purpose of a system user password. Pre-boot authentication specifically refers to contacting an authentication server on the network, which is a more complicated and rigorous type of system protection. Question 13. Why is it essential to physically secure portable devices when in public spaces? It was not to prevent unauthorized access, but the correct answer was to ensure they are not stolen or lost. Yeah, now that I'm rereading this, it is essential to physically secure portable devices when in public spaces. I wonder if this might be referring to chaining your laptop to the desk or some dock. Well, I know what I need to review now, but a score of 90 is not that bad. I just needed to get an 80 to pass. So that's going to be it for this video. Thanks for watching, guys.